And the things that answer. There's a special kind of magic that happens when you leave the city lights behind. You trade the noise of traffic for the whisper of the wind through the pines. You swap the glow of screens for the dance of a crackling campfire. This is the call of the wild, an invitation to step back into a simpler, more primal world. It's an adventure I've answered countless times, seeking out the forgotten corners of our planet. We pack our tents, our sleeping bags, and our sense of wonder, ready for whatever nature has in store for us. But sometimes, the wild has more in store than we bargained for. Sometimes, the sounds in the darkness are not just animals scurrying in the undergrowth. In our modern world, nearly everyone carries a camera in their pocket. We document everything, from the mundane to the magnificent, and sometimes we capture things we were never meant to see. The lens becomes an impartial witness to events that defy easy explanation. So, let's venture into the darkness together. We're going to look at some of the most chilling, perplexing, and downright terrifying moments that campers have managed to catch on camera. Our first story takes us to the vast, rugged landscape of the Sierra Nevada mountains. A solo hiker named Mark was on a multi-day trek deep in the backcountry. He set up his small, one-man tent near a stream, cooked his dinner, and settled in for the night. He also set up a small trail camera on a nearby tree, hoping to capture footage of deer or maybe even a bear. As darkness fell, an unsettling feeling began to creep over him. The usual night sounds of the forest seemed to stop. An eerie silence descended upon his small campsite. Mark felt a prickly sensation on the back of his neck, the ancient feeling of being watched. He tried to dismiss it as paranoia, a common trick of the mind when you're alone in a vast wilderness. Later that night, he was jolted awake by a sound. It wasn't an animal. It was a low, guttural breathing just outside his tent. It was slow, heavy, and sounded massive. It wasn't until he got home and checked the footage from his trail camera that he saw it. For just a few frames, the camera captured a tall, dark, humanoid figure standing at the edge of the trees. It was broad-shouldered and impossibly tall, silently watching his camp before melting back into the darkness. Skinwalker Ranch in Utah is legendary in the world of the paranormal. It's a place where the veil between our world and another seems incredibly thin. So when a group of paranormal investigators got permission to camp on the property, they knew they were in for an interesting night. They came armed with a full suite of equipment. Their thermal camera caught a flicker of movement. Pointing it towards a patch of dense brush, they saw a heat signature. It wasn't a coyote or a deer. It was large, hunched over and moving in a way that was jerky and unnatural. But then, one of the audio recorders started picking up something strange. It was a faint whispering sound. The whispers were clear, yet unintelligible, like a radio tuned between stations. The climax of the night came when the entity seemed to charge them. At the exact same moment, the team's equipment went haywire. Batteries drained instantly, cameras shut off, and the audio recorders filled with a burst of deafening static. The story of the Dyatlov Pass incident from 1959 is one of the great unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Now imagine a modern group of campers experiencing something eerily similar in the same region. In 2019, a small team of Russian adventurers decided to camp near the infamous Dyatlov Pass. On the third night, however, things changed. A strange and sudden storm blew in, far more intense than what was forecasted. One of the campers decided to send up their drone, despite the high winds, to get a look at the storm from above. What the drone's camera captured was terrifying. Hovering in the sky above them were several bright orange orbs of light. The sight of the orbs sent a wave of panic through the group. They felt a strange, oppressive pressure, a sense that they needed to get out, to run. It was a chilling echo of what the original Dyatlov hikers might have felt. Our next story comes from a group of friends who were camping in the Black Hills of Maryland, the very same area where the legend of the Blair Witch is set. They were fans of the movie, and their trip was partly a fun homage to the film. Their first night was filled with strange noises. They heard what sounded like rocks being clacked together in the distance. They also found a strange arrangement of sticks tied together with twine near their campsite. The second night, the situation escalated dramatically. Around 3 in the morning, they were awakened by the sounds of children laughing and whispering just outside their tent. It was unmistakable and utterly terrifying. As they packed up their camp in the pale morning light, they made one last disturbing discovery. All around their tent, arranged in a perfect circle, were small piles of stones. They hadn't been there when they went to sleep. The legend of the rake is a relatively new one, originating as an internet urban legend. This story comes from a father and son who were camping in a remote part of upstate New York in the autumn of 2010. The next morning, the father checked the camera to see if it had captured anything interesting. In the middle of the night, the camera had been triggered. The photo was dark and a bit blurry, but it clearly showed something standing at the edge of the woods. But that night, they were woken up by a sound. It was the sound of something scratching against the outside of their tent. It was a slow, deliberate scrape, like long nails being dragged down the fabric. For a split second, caught in the beam of light, he saw it. It was a pale, hairless creature, hunched over, with long, spindly arms and large black eyes that reflected the light. It recoiled from the light and scurried away into the darkness with an unnatural, crab-like motion. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, is considered one of the most haunted places in America. A family decided to take this a step further and camp at a campground located right on the edge of the historic battlefield. As night fell, the mood changed. The family sat around their campfire when they started to hear faint sounds coming from the woods. It sounded like marching, the rhythmic tramp of many feet, accompanied by the distant, muffled sound of a drum. The father grabbed his video camera, which had a night vision mode, and started filming toward the woods. A figure was standing among the trees, watching them. On the camera's green-hued screen, the figure was translucent, shaped like a man, and appeared to be wearing a Civil War-era soldier's uniform. Deep in the vast and rugged wilderness of the Australian bush, there are legends of a creature known as the Yowie. This story comes from a group of friends who were camping in the Blue Mountains of New South Wales. Then, from deep in the valley below them, they heard a sound that made their blood run cold. It was a loud guttural roar, a primal scream that was part ape, part human, and filled with aggression. Suddenly, one of them spotted movement on the ridge opposite their camp, silhouetted against the dim moonlight. The camera zoomed in, capturing a grainy but distinct image. It was a massive bipedal figure covered in dark hair, moving with surprising speed along the ridge. After hearing these stories, you might wonder why anyone would ever go camping again. Why trade the safety of your locked home for a thin sheet of nylon in a forest full of shadows and strange noises? The answer, I think, is deep in our DNA. We are explorers by nature. There's a fundamental human desire to push the boundaries, to see what's over the next hill, and to venture into the dark places on the map. These encounters, captured on camera, remind us that the world can often feel small and fully explained. But these stories suggest that there are still mysteries left to solve, creatures that defy classification, and phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality. It's what keeps us packing our bags, charging our cameras, and heading back out into the wild. They come back with the chilling knowledge that the world is far stranger and more mysterious than we can imagine. And that, for an explorer, is the greatest thrill of all.